Poly Sci-Fi here, asking the question, how are stimulus checks funded? This is coming the same day that Congress supposedly finally worked for like 6 months to finally come up with this great, piece of legislation that has like regular income, not income, regular legislation for a government budget, this, huge government budget, plus it gives money to Americans, plus it does a bunch of other stuff. 6,000 pages. I guess if I really wanted to, I could look it up and read it, I think. But the big question is, then Trump was like, whoa, let's give everybody 2Gs. And everybody's like, yeah, Trump, he cares so much about Americans. Right? Some people were saying that, and I believe maybe somewhere in his heart that was his intention. And for sure, 600 is not a lot, and $2,000 is quite a bit, and that would certainly help more. But I mean, where is the real transparency? I mean, what is really the difference? Like, why did Congress say 600, and now Trump's just like, give them $2,000? Why, if Congress would have even considered that, why wasn't that part of the original bill? Like, where does this money really come from? Is this tax dollars that we all paid that we're just getting back? Like, yeah, gee, thanks, I paid $10,000 in taxes last year and you just gave me back two? Like, whoop-de-doo? Or is this just like, we're just going to run off the bills and hand them out like it's nothing? Like, sneak them out the back door? Like, yeah, this is great. Like, is that what we're doing? Or is there like even like something different than all that? Is this going to devalue American currency? Because American currency has been dropping. I've lived all over the world, and I still have friends and occasionally trade a little money here or there, and I'm certainly getting less foreign dollar for my US dollar at this point in time. I know it's cyclical and eventually it will get back up there, but for the country that's everybody's trying to throw their money into our stock market, the value of our currency is a bit low. I guess maybe that's why, because they know when they transfer their money it's worth more or something like that. So my big question is, how is it funded? And from what I understand, they're just printing off the bills and they're just handing them out. The Federal Reserve and the Treasury, whatever their bizarre relationship is there. And I know they're separate for a reason. Beyond that, I don't really get it. Should probably look into that. So when you just run off bills, all of a sudden everybody has more bills. That's called what? Is that deflation or is that inflation? So if everybody has more money, then that should cause the price of things to go up because everybody has more money, right? I mean, it's mostly what's been going on with COVID and Christmas time and lack of supply chains, lack of items, so everybody's charging more money. And this has kind of been going on for a long time, right? You get your car fixed or you call up the plumber and all of a sudden they're like $200 an hour. And you're like, what? But that's just, all the other stuff they're trying to buy costs more money. All the business people keep trying to make more money, so they're just like, screw you, I'm going to charge more money too. In a good way, right? I guess that's just how things go. And now they're just running off more bills. I feel like at first those more bills deflate because there's like more money just floating around, so people could buy more, so people are trying to get you to spend that money, but over the long run, I believe it causes the inflation, the opposite. All in all, what am I trying to say here, right? In utopia, we don't want all this government interference. We don't want governments controlling the banks unless it is one global system, because then you can't mess it up. You can't mess with people, right? It's just one system. There's no point in making your currency go up and down. There's no point in handing out free money to the world if it's just one world, right? I mean, what if we could just barter, and what if everybody was just worth what they can do with their hands and their brain, and that was just their worth, and it wasn't so. I'm throwing all my money in the stock market, and it goes up one day, down the next, up one day, down the next, and after all this time, you realize it barely really moved that much. I mean, why do we have to gamble in order to be able to retire someday, right? If my investments don't work out right, I'm not going to be able to retire. Look what happened in Japan, the Nikkei. Japan was doing awesome. They cloned the American car, made it better than ever, still make great cars. And somehow in the mid-'80s, right in their prime, the Nikkei started going down and it has never gone up again. What the hell? I mean, it could happen here at any moment. That S&P 500 could start to go down and it could never turn back up. I guess the issue in Japan was like they didn't have enough kids, and as long as you can like pay people bonus stimulus checks for having kids, they're going to keep like wanting to have kids, and you keep like writing off tax credits. So I mean, I guess in some ways, government helps, right? I guess. All I'm saying is in utopia, there wouldn't be any of this happening. Check this out. Let's say that Congress took 6 months to come up with that $1 trillion, just because they wanted to bicker like little brothers and sisters back and forth. That was pathetic. And all the time we were paying them like big money. Like that's so silly. But check this out. I took some college classes, and they were like, ideal group of people is 5 people, maybe 7 people tops. 5, maybe 7. So I'm saying, how about Congress is 7 people? How about the 7 continents are those 7 people? I don't care if we have a penguin in here representing Antarctica. We got 7 people. They have a vote. 4 wins, right? 7. I would prefer, a 5 to 2 would be my preferred, particularly for like big things, right? But you have these 7 people, and guess what? These 7 people go back to their home continents, and they meet with like 7 leaders. So they have a group of 7 that they meet with. And those 7 leaders have 7 or 6 people under them. And it just spreads out like that until pretty soon, right? You have all the people, and the people are reporting to the real public servant. Everybody else is just kind of a paper pusher. But they're giving their input, and that person is having to tabulate it. There was this one great episode of that space show by Seth MacFarlane where it was actually a terrible episode, but the concept was great. It was this planet where everybody could just vote on their phone, and there were no Congress people. Just the vote on their phone became the law. And they made it seem like this terrible, stupid thing, like people are retarded and shouldn't be allowed to do that. In Congress, people are so smart and they rule the world. Maybe that's the point. Maybe he's just trying to be funny about that. But how great would that be? Like you literally just, everybody gets a single vote to their one representative. Their one representative simply reports that up the chain. And, the vote counts. And then the people who are simply sitting there counting votes and sharing ideas, I mean, what would be their job? Their job would be to share information back with us. Share things like, hey, how is this going to affect me in the long run? Whether it's 600 or 2,000 or nothing, or whether you're giving people $300 a week to not work, how is that stuff going to affect me in the long run? Because I know for like really rich people or like smart people with the markets or whatever, it's like, yeah, do it. And it's going to boost my day trade, and I can make some money, and then I'm going to sell it before it all falls apart. Because guess what? It's all going to someday, fall back down. Once you're not giving people $2,000 anymore, it's just going to fall apart. So I would love it if Congress people, or whatever that system might be called in my utopia, not my utopia, would simply be information sharers. Transparency is certainly not a new concept. Not for government, not for anything. It's been an ideal thing for a very long time, and it's been ignored and neglected for way too long. Whatever this garbage is that we call news on the internet. Why can't we just get the real deal? Why can't people just share real information? Why is it so hard to do? I don't understand.